The other deal is, regardless if they're relating to boat docks, whatever, again, it's handling them, you know. Bait selection, I pretty much stay with the same bait selection I would if I was throwing it on a casting rod or a spinning rod or whatever. I drop shot a baby rodent a lot. It's my favorite #1 flipping bait for smallmouth. A baby rodent. Yeah, it's just, I like you know, the last few years, a full-size rodent has been probably, you know, really, I've caught a lot of big fish on it, you know. And that's another deal with the smallmouth. I find that it seems like, regardless if I use the big one or the little one, they're so sight-oriented, where a largemouth, a lot of times, we catch them on a color that maybe not necessarily what they're eating. But it seems like on the smallmouth, more times than not, they are so particular about what they eat. So I like the size. If I'm for sure, and normally you have to catch a few, see something in the vegetation. There's something to key you in on what they're feeding on. You know, sometimes they spit up some crawfish pinchers in my live well. Or if the grass I'm fishing, I see a lot of small perch. There'll be something, maybe some bluegill, something that, you know, keys me in on what a lot of times I'll tweak. I may start off catching them case in point. We fishing a tournament. The year before, we went back to a lake, and the last time I was there, crawfish were the dominant forage. And the crawfish that they spit up in my live well, double header. It's my favorite color rodent. It's watermelon red flake on one side and green pumpkin on the other side. It's just, it keeps me from having to think, hey, do I need watermelon red? Do I need green pumpkin? It's simple. But the deal was the crawfish it matched them to a T. So when I go there the next time, actually it was probably 2 or 3 years later to that lake, I start with it and I start getting bit. But, you know, I'm not getting bit very well. And I start to notice there undoubtedly was a big perch hatch that year. Or maybe, I'm not sure how fast they grow. It could have actually been from the year before, but the grass is just full of perch about this long. Well, that color, you know, it's similar, and I got some bites, but something just wasn't right about it. Candy crawl's a much better pick for the double header. Looked more like the crawfish, but the candy crawl looked a lot more like the perch, and it upped my bites. I felt like I'd get 5 to 10 bites more a day just by changing the color because they are so sight oriented. The other deal is the profile. Whatever they're eating, I want something that is that exact same profile. It doesn't matter, you know, what they're eating. I want that to fit that profile because, like, again, it goes back to they're just more sight-oriented. About the only time I change colors in a situation like that, when I know they're on one, I always have a black and blue rigged up or whatever I'm fishing, regardless if it's a jig or whatever. Because a lot of times, you know how a guy will go out and he'll look for a topwater bite in the morning or a spinnerbait bite, and if I think that's the deal, I'll do that. But if flipping is the deal or catching them on the bottom is the deal, I start the first thing in the morning doing what I have the most confidence in. I went through a period of time where I felt like, and I don't know why I did this, but I would get on, say, jig fish somewhere, and I would always start in the morning doing something different. Well, I don't care how good the jig bite was. I'm going to start in the morning spinnerbait because I thought that's what you had to do. Because I had read that the first thing in the morning, you need to be looking for something else, and then you go to that. Well, I don't know what clicked, but one time I was like, you know what, why don't they bite that in the morning? So I just started with that deal, and I figured out, man, that's a lot of times it's when I get my best bites first thing in the morning, regardless of whatever I'm doing. So again, so they can see it because it's darker in the morning, I'll just flip black and blue, regardless if it's a jig or whatever. And normally, like in a rodent, we make 2 different black and blues. We make just standard black and blue, which is black with blue fleck, which is probably my #1 favorite, and then we make one with some really big blue fleck. I can't even remember. I'm not sure. Man, we got so many colors, I don't know. I just know what they look like. I don't know what they're called, but I know what they look like. But that's about the only time I would change and use a different color. If I started in the morning, I just like black and blue. And then just as soon as I felt like it'd get light enough, and I find this happens a lot of times, if I go, you start off in the morning with that black and blue and it's dark, boom, catch one, boom, I catch another one, and then I go 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I ain't had another bite. I know then they can see too well.
And the information Bass University provides isn't your basic run-of-the-mill fishing video. This is specific information from A to Z to help you learn, get to the water, and become a better angler quickly.